The Preakness is this Saturday, and here are the 9 horses in the field for the 147th Preakness Stakes, Pimlico in Baltimore. Early voting at 7-2, right in the middle there. Epicenter is the favorite at 6-5, running on the outside, coming out of post position number 8. Secret Oath is also a contender, along with Simplification on the rail. Let's bring in our horse racing experts, Gene Menez and Michelle Yu. Gene, how big of a deal is it that the Derby winner Rich Strike is not in the field and there's no chance of a Triple Crown?
You know, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, the appeal of the Preakness Stakes, right, is that the Kentucky Derby winner is going for the Triple Crown. There have been only 13 horses who have completed the Triple Crown, and without the Kentucky Derby winner in the Preakness just becomes any other Grade 1 race for, you know, the average sports fan. For Michelle and myself, of course, we'd watch the race anyways. We love horse racing. And but at least the Preakness Stakes this year will feature a storyline of Epicenter versus the Kentucky Oaks winner Secret Oath, who is trying to become just the 7th filly to win the Preakness Stakes, and trainer D. Wayne Lucas trying to tie the record for the most Preakness wins by a trainer with 7.
I mean, I don't necessarily know if it's a huge deal that we lost Rich Strike. I mean, the intrigue certainly, and it is disappointing. But as far as like the race shape ends up, I feel like he was going to be trying to come from off pace again. And still, the throwdown to me is going to be on the front end. It's going to be between Epicenter and early voting. And I think before, everyone thought maybe those two would be going heads and head and, you know, out-duel each other into submission to really set it up for something like Rich Strike. But I think that we saw from Epicenter in the Kentucky Derby, he doesn't need to be as close to the lead as everyone thinks. So I just think that he, from the outside there, is going to set such a beautiful trip. So while we want to see the Derby winner because it makes it exciting, I think there's plenty of storylines in here already, and we don't necessarily need Rich Strike in here from a betting standpoint, right? If you're looking for other storylines, you mentioned that Secret Oath trying to become a filly. Also, last time we had a huge upset in the Kentucky Derby, we had a filly win the Preakness that year, and it was Rachel Alexandra. In addition to that, Chad Brown has won one Preakness, and he did it on the exact same angle as early voting comes into this race. He came in out of the wood, he skipped the Derby, and comes into the Preakness. And Chad did that for Clairvich Stables with Cloud Computing just a few years ago. So we have that storyline to follow. And even Epicenter in his own right has his own storyline. Steve Asmussen trained Curlin. He could not win the Kentucky Derby, but he did best out the Derby winner in the Preakness. So there's so many different horses trying to follow in some other historical footsteps. I think we still have plenty of intrigue in here. And to me, it would be a little more upsetting if it was, you know, one of the favorites that had won the Derby and he was bypassing. The fact that it was a long shot, I mean, it stinks from a human interest point of view, but for handicapping now, this is just a good race.
Yeah, Rich Strike 80-1 won the Kentucky Derby. The longest shot here, Fenwick, at 50-1. I got to imagine some maybe novices are going to just throw some money down on that just because of what we saw in the Kentucky Derby. Let's get to the picks to win this thing. Gene, who do you like? Like having some technical difficulties with Gene. Michelle, who's your pick to win?
I mean, my pick in the Kentucky Derby was Epicenter. I'm not going to jump off of him right now. I still like Epicenter in here. Like I mentioned, he showed a new dimension. I don't love the price, so that's the drawback or the thumbs down for me. But it was his race to lose in the Derby. He held off everybody, and he was powering away at the end. He got caught by a crazy long shot. I feel like the Preakness belongs to Epicenter. So for me, he is my top play. Although if his price ends up being too low, I might play like a back wheel and put him in second and play every other horse up front just in case something crazy happens.
Gene, who's your pick to win?
You know, Michelle and I see the race the same way. Epicenter, I think, is going to be a formidable horse to beat in this race. Arguably, he was the best horse in the Kentucky Derby. He was a little bit off that blistering pace, and it took a incredible ride by Leon on Rich Strike and a pace meltdown in order to beat Epicenter that day. The pace I think is not going to be as hot as it was in Louisville. To me, Epicenter really is a standout in this race.
The longest of shots winning at the Kentucky Derby. Gene, give us a long shot who you think could win this one.
Well, I apologize, Chris. I'm not going to have an 80-1 long shot to give you for Saturday. But listen, if you're looking for a horse who can outrun his odds and possibly get into the mix for second or third, I'm going to go with Creative Minister. This is a horse trained by Kenny McPeak. As a 2-year-old, the horse got a little bit of a late start. They had to start and stop on this horse. They actually did not nominate this horse to the Triple Crown because they didn't think that he was going to be able to get to the races in time to make the Triple Crown. But he did in late March. And on the Derby undercard, he won in a fast time. Now, he wasn't nominated to the Triple Crown. The connections of Creative Minister had to pony up $150,000 to run in both the Preakness and the Belmont Stakes. And I did a little math. The horse has to run third in the Preakness Stakes in order to get that $150,000 back. So maybe you can kind of mix them in underneath in your exotic wagers for the Preakness.
Gene and Michelle were in lockstep with their pick to win in Epicenter at 6-5 right now out of the 8-hole. Creative Minister is Gene's long shot pick. Michelle, who's your long shot pick?
I mean, I think he's the horse with the best chance at double-digit odds, right? You look at anybody else that's double-digit. I mean, to me, the rest of those horses are complete checkout. So I think that Gene's on the right horse there. If you're definitely playing exotics, you have to use simplification too. He ran 4th in the Kentucky Derby. I still thought he ran well. I call him Gunnavera 2.0 because his trainer had a horse named Gunnavera. He ran 2nd, 3rds, and 4ths in pretty much every stake around the world and just couldn't punch it through for a lot of W's. But he picked up a lot of checks. He rounds out a lot of exotic wagers, and simplification is pretty much identical to that horse to me. So while I wouldn't use him in my win spot, I would certainly use him underneath. And go back to Creative Minister as well. I think that horse has a beautiful running style to be able to do well here because we know there's going to be speed to run at, but it's not going to be crazy speed. And he has enough tactical gas in his tank to, I feel like, lay within 3 or 4 or 5 lengths. And I think that Pimlico is pretty fair as far as where horses come from.
And Michelle, you have an exotic bet for us. You have a trifecta, is that right?
Oh, certainly. If I'm going to play something ice cold, I'm going to go Epicenter on top of early voting, on top of Secret Oath. I think for sure those horses are going to be the ones that are taking all the money, unfortunately, but I do think that they're the ones that are going to be finishing on top as well. And I think that Secret Oath is probably one of the most athletic horses that I've seen in recent memory. But she is going to need to step up her game. She wasn't able to get it done in the Arkansas Derby. She has to go further than she has in any race before. And the majority of these horses are coming off a cutback in distance. They've gone further, which gives them a lot of added stamina. So we have to make sure she wants to go that distance. And so she's going to have to step up. I think that she's against it in that aspect, that she has to improve her game. Whereas some of these horses like Epicenter, I feel like only have to maintain.
Wow, this is probably going to jinx Epicenter, early voting, and Secret Oath because I see the race the same way. My exotic bet is going to be Epicenter on top of a trifecta with early voting and Secret Oath. So if it comes Epicenter, early voting, Secret Oath, or Epicenter, Secret Oath, early voting, you win. Early voting by Chad Brown, trained by Chad Brown, comes into the race off of a layoff since the Wood Memorial. He's been training up to this. He skipped the Derby. He should be forwardly placed and probably the early pace setter, and is likely to move forward off that performance in the Wood Memorial. And as Michelle said about Secret Oath, the more I look at her, the more I like her. The speed figures don't like her as much, but if you take into the ground loss, she likes to rally wide around the far turn. And if you take into account that ground loss, her numbers, her figures really improve and are right up there with the top contenders. I see that being your 1, 2, 3 finishers in Saturday's Preakness Stakes.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.